everyone, my name is Alyssa Spies, and I am a sophomore in the College of Arts and Sciences, double majoring in Criminology and Law Studies and Sociology. As you will learn more about in just a moment, I am conducting research under Dr. Richard Jones and Dr. Darren Wheelock. Today I will be presenting a methodological overview of my project, the effects and conceptualizations of the Milwaukee Reentry Council on success. I am part of a program called Biever Gold, which promotes and facilitates undergraduate research through a 2-year program. Biever Gold was started in 2017 with 8 students per year. I am part of the 3rd cohort. To provide a general overview of my research journey, I started doing research spring of 2020 on prisoner reentry under the direction of Dr. Richard Jones and Dr. Darren Wheelock. They gave me a couple of texts on reentry to gain some background knowledge about the field before starting any research. As you all know, however, this was around the time COVID hit the US, so my research for that semester was unfortunately cut short. Fall 2020 saw the start of some fieldwork. Even though COVID was still very present in the United States, Marquette was having in-person classes with restrictions. Because I was able to be on campus, I was able to converse with Dr. Wheelock and Dr. Jones about how I could go about doing fieldwork during COVID. Dr. Wheelock is a member of the Milwaukee Reentry Council and connected me to their virtual monthly meetings, where I began doing participant observations starting in September of 2020. During this semester, I also developed my research question and thought of different ways I could go about answering it. Spring of 2021 saw me advancing even further into my research as I was able to conduct interviews with members of the Reentry Council and continue taking ethnographic notes. To provide some background on why I'm interested in reentry, reentry is a large-scale societal issue connected to mass incarceration. The United States has the largest incarceration rate of all institutionalized democracies, a rate that has been steadily increasing since the 1980s. This increase is due to several different factors, including lack of necessary social supports and programming for the general public. This lack has resulted in individuals from certain demographic areas being disproportionately affected, something especially seen in Milwaukee. A University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee article from 2009 by John Pawar-Sarat states that, quote, 2/3 of African Americans and 40% of Latinos from Milwaukee County are released into 9 Milwaukee inner-city zip codes, end quote. Even though those statistics may be a little old, this problem still has not improved, as a 2018 article in Wisconsin Lawyer Journal finds that, quote, at the end of 2017, Wisconsin was poised to incarcerate more people in its 37 prisons than at any time in history. So clearly reentry is a big issue, especially in Milwaukee, one that the Milwaukee Reentry Council has set out to solve. The Milwaukee Reentry Council was founded in 2016 and is an organization comprised of approximately 300 individuals from 60 organizations. It's a subset of the Milwaukee Community Justice Council, and the Reentry Council's goal is to, quote, reduce recidivism in Milwaukee by 50% within 5 years. As a coordinating organization with diverse membership, the ability of the Reentry Council to enact change in reentry is quite high. But the change that the Council enacts is only that which it deems will help people find success. Therefore, Reentry Council members' conceptualizations of success, especially those of group leaders, heavily influences how this organization creates change in Milwaukee. To address this concept, I created several questions. What individuals and groups are involved in the Milwaukee Reentry Council? What do they believe they have to give or receive from the group? How does the council collectively define success? And does recidivism factor into this definition? To answer these questions, with the guidance of my mentors, I developed a mixed methods approach. Mixed methods being defined by the new era of mixed methods as, quote, research in which the investigator collects and analyzes data, integrates the findings, and draws inferences using both qualitative and quantitative methods or approaches in a single study or program of inquiry. A key concept in this definition is integration, end quote. Methods I've employed consist of collecting old meeting notes, participant observation, and interviewing, all qualitative forms of research. A method that I plan to employ is surveying, a quantitative method. I have and I will continue to use qualitative methods to collect and analyze data. I will use findings from the implementation of qualitative methods to plan my quantitative method of surveying and integrate the findings together after the data has been collected. Data collected from old Reentry Council meetings consisted of meeting minutes, agendas, flyers, and emails dating back to May 5, 2019, approximately 2 years of past data. All data pertaining to past reentry meetings was transmitted electronically in September of 2020, and it has yet to be fully analyzed. Simultaneously, starting late September of 2020, I was also taking participant observation notes at Reentry Council meetings. I continue to do this at every monthly meeting. The role I assumed during participant observation was that of a complete participant where I'm, quote, either a genuine participant in what I'm studying or I pretend to be a genuine participant. People will see me only as a participant and not as a researcher, end quote. Definition of courtesy of Orellana and Fang. In this case, I was pretending to be a genuine participant, as people in the group see me only as a participant and not as a researcher. This may have shifted slightly because of interviewing, where I presented myself as a researcher to the 9 individuals I was interviewing, causing me to now be a participant as observer, wherein I participate fully in the council but make it clear that I am also conducting research. Notes I collected from monthly Reentry Council meetings were discussed with Dr. Jones and different types of data were considered, but in-depth analysis has not yet occurred. Nevertheless, information I gained from taking these notes and attending monthly meetings allowed me to get a sense of who is involved in the council and how it works. This helped me identify who to interview. I had a 100% response and interview rate as I selected and interviewed 9 members of the Reentry Council. These were individuals who, for my participant observation, I denoted as leaders. I define leaders as individuals who frequently participate in meetings and have a high organizational influence in the Reentry Council and their own organization. These individuals came from a variety of backgrounds, including UW-Milwaukee, a Reentry Council task force, Milwaukee's Department of Public Works, Partners in Hope, the Alma Center, Milwaukee Community Justice Council, community advocates, Project Return, and progressive community health centers. Interviews occurred from March 3rd to April 5th, 2021, and ranged from 10 to 20 minutes. They were scheduled via email at the convenience of the interviewee. All interviews were conducted virtually on Microsoft Teams or Zoom, and approximately 4 questions were asked during each interview. The background of the individual was considered, and specific questions regarding any programs or efforts were asked if applicable. Additionally, at the end of each interview, I gave individuals the opportunity to generally comment, providing them with a space to ask me questions or elaborate on one of their previous answers. After interviews were complete, they were transcribed and will be analyzed for themes in the future. After the results of the interviews have been fully coded, applicable themes will be isolated and used to create questions for a survey that will be distributed to the general body of the Reentry Council. Survey responses will be anonymous, take approximately 5 to 10 minutes, and ask questions regarding individual definitions of success. I have 4 methods of data collection: the gathering of old Reentry Council meeting notes, participant observation, interviewing, and surveying. I previously explained that I gathered old Reentry Council meeting notes. In this gathering, I obtained meeting minutes, agendas, flyers, and emails dating back to May 5th, 2019. This information was stored into an Excel spreadsheet and analyzed through content analysis. However, these notes aren't fully analyzed as new data is produced and added each month. Full content and narrative analyzation will occur in the future. Ethnographic participant observation notes were handwritten during meetings and typed up shortly afterwards. These notes were discussed with Dr. Jones and used to begin construction of the narrative of the Reentry Council. Full analyzation still must be completed to recognize all pieces of data compiled in these notes and how they fit into the bigger picture of the Reentry Council. Interviews were recorded on either Microsoft Teams or Zoom. Post impressions were written immediately following the interview, and the meetings were transcribed. After transcription was complete and identifiers were removed, interviews were shared with Dr. Jones. Interviews are currently being read through for immediate impressions and will be more deeply analyzed using open coding in a variety of contexts in the upcoming weeks. These contexts include isolating themes through content analysis, identifying sources of disagreement, through discourse analysis and placing all information into the greater narrative of the Reentry Council and Reentry in Milwaukee. When interviews are fully analyzed, they will provide relevant themes and ideas to include in the survey. Survey data has yet to be collected, but once it is collected, it will be organized and analyzed in the context of the narrative of the Reentry Council and how their definition of success influences their actions. Information collected from the survey will more fully round out my data and provide me with the next step in my research. This is an in-process project that I'm excited to share with you, but because I'm still collecting data, I cannot share any data or themes that I've collected. I estimate that this project will be completed sometime later in this year. If you'd like to contact me, please refer to my email on the slide. I welcome any opportunity to discuss my work. Thank you for listening.